spared my life for a reason, and that reason was to save our country and to restore America to greatness.
Now on Fox 50, Wisconsin gave Donald Trump the Electoral College votes needed to become president-elect. This morning, we've got a breakdown of the other states that helped him soar to victory.
And there's a new leader for North Carolina Public Schools. The newly elected state superintendent, Mo Green, taking the lead in a race that was too close to call.
And we're dealing with some sun and clouds this morning. Not really looking at fog across our area, except up in Northampton County. The schools are on 1 hour delay. We'll talk about what we'll see through the afternoon and our next chance of rain.
It is a historic Wednesday morning as we welcome you inside our WRAL studio. I'm Jeff Hogan.
I'm Chris Lovingood. Stock futures soaring. We'll be talking about that today, as well as how world leaders are reacting. As you're waking up, WRAL is catching you up on various election results. Our team of reporters is tracking the big races still undecided and the ones that are. Before we go to them, let's check in with Elizabeth with your weather forecast.
It's partly cloudy here at RDU right now. Definitely some sunshine here at Terminal 2, but as you look up in the sky, more cloud cover than sunshine. And that's the way things are going to be during the day today. We'll have some peaks of sun. We'll have some overcast periods as a cold front gets closer to us and brings us some rain overnight tonight. 64 right now in the Triangle area. 60 is our dew point. Visibility is looking pretty good. Our lowest visibility, Rocky Mount and Goldsboro, 4 miles. So we're not seeing any fog on these sensors, but it wouldn't be out of the question to see some in some low-lying areas. Now that the sun's been up for a while, though, that should be pretty limited. Partly cloudy this afternoon, nearly a record high at 82, and then a chance of rain overnight. So at midnight, it's a 40% chance, and then early tomorrow morning, it drops from a 40 to a 30% chance during the day for tomorrow. And we'll walk through that timeline for you on Futurecast. Taking a look at Rafael, it's a Category 2 storm. It moves across Cuba and then out here into the open Gulf of Mexico, where it may dissipate before it makes landfall. We'll talk more about what that means for us in terms of rainfall. Coming up, Ken.
All right, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. Traffic is definitely building on many of our major roadways this morning as we isolate the Beltline. You can see the southern loop of the Beltline, that traffic beginning on Lake Wheeler Road, as well as the northern loop of the Beltline starting around Capitol Boulevard as well. You're looking at a 3 to 5 minute delay. And here's what it looks like on the southern loop. Those are the westbound lanes moving away from us rather slowly this morning. If you're coming in from Garner, Johnston County, I would recommend the northern loop, even though that's still a little bit of a backup, but I think it's moving faster than the southern loop of the Beltline this morning. Elsewhere around the triangle and surrounding communities, we're seeing a slowdown on Capitol Boulevard this morning. Coming in from Wake Forest, we just checked the sensors. You're looking at a 10 to 15 minute delay coming into the capital city as well. And of course, Lewisburg Road, always congested. That's usually an alternate route that many of you use as well. Over in Durham, we're seeing a similar situation in terms of I-885 heading into the Bull City this morning. You can see the huge congestion building all the way back to the I-40, I-885 split. And let's take you outside and show you what we're talking about. These are the lanes heading into the Bull City this morning. You're looking at a 10 to 15 minute delay as well. If you're getting ready to head out this morning, we will always keep you updated on the radio. Listen to us anywhere in the Triangle at 101.5 HD3.
Right now, as you're getting your Wednesday started, Donald Trump is officially the projected president-elect. He won Wisconsin, which put him at 277 electoral votes above the 270 threshold to win, with more to come eventually.
And Jeff, he had a decisive series of wins in swing states. We have WRAL's Michelle McConaughey following that this morning. Michelle, it was a big night for Trump in those states where he campaigned so heavily.
It was a very big night, Chris. There were 7 very important swing states in the election. North Carolina was one of those states that Trump won. You can see it highlighted in red there. His win in Wisconsin, that was announced about 5:30 this morning. That's what put him over the top. But he also took Pennsylvania and Georgia. And going back to some 2020 election results, those were all states that President Joe Biden won in the election. You can see all of those highlighted in blue. And coming back to last night, what we saw here in North Carolina played out in other states as well. Harris won the urban areas, but the turnout of Democratic voters was not enough to offset the red parts of those states. We are still waiting on the results from other battleground states, including Michigan, Arizona, and Nevada. Those should come out sometime in the next couple of days. Trump is holding leads in all of the states right now. And if Trump does win all of those states, I want to show you what that scenario would look like. He could end up with as many as 312 electoral votes in a landslide victory over Harris. Trump could also become the first Republican to win the popular vote since George W. Bush in 2004.
And our team coverage continues with WRAL's Heidi Kirk. She is at the Wake County Board of Elections office. Heidi, Trump gave a victory speech this morning.
Chris, good morning. You got that right. It is definitely a big morning for the Trump campaign. In fact, he took the stage in Florida around 2:30 a.m. this morning in front of a group of his supporters on stage with Senator J.D. Vance, of course, his running mate. Take a look at some of that footage from that rally in the early hours of the morning. The former president gave a shout out to North Carolina voters for making it to the polls and pushing him to win the state. Now, as you know, we've been reporting this all week long. The margins were slim here in North Carolina. Former President Donald Trump won by about 51% of the vote. Now, Trump spent some time discussing policy on stage, touching on one of the centerpieces of his campaign, illegal immigration and border security. Now, in conclusion, he thanked Americans for their part in his campaign.
This is a magnificent victory for the American people that will allow us to make America great again.
Now, election officials will tell you that they can't certify the election until 10 days from Election Day. So though Trump is the projected winner, there's still 10 days to go until those results are official. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Also new this morning, Mo Green will be North Carolina's next public schools leader. The Democrat edged out Republican Michelle Morrow in a race now that all of the votes have been reported. WRAL's Laura Levine shares Morrow has yet to concede the race.
The AP called this race earlier this morning. Democrat Mo Green topped Republican Michelle Morrow in the race to become North Carolina's next public school leader. Taking a closer look at the results here, you can see with all precincts reported, Green has 51.1% of the vote to Morrow's 48.9%. That's according to unofficial results from the State Board of Elections. Green's lead was about 119,500 votes. Green, who ran Guilford County Schools from 2008 to 2016, hadn't declared victory just yet. Earlier this week, his team said he wouldn't comment on the results in any way until 100% of ballots were counted. WRAL spoke with him before the polls closed.
I've been a superintendent. I've led complex educational organizations. My opponent has not. I believe in our public schools.
Republican Michelle Morrow, a political outsider and homeschool mom, left her watch party late last night and didn't concede. Her campaign said that she would wait to see how she fared after more results were in. And as she left, her supporters surrounded her and told her that they loved her. At this point, we have not heard any remarks from Mo Green and his campaign at this time. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Raleigh.
But we will be checking back in on Green in just a bit. Democrat Josh Stein will be North Carolina's next governor. He won the race against Republican Mark Robinson by nearly 15 points. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey joins us live from outside the governor's mansion in downtown Raleigh. And Kelsey, both Stein and Robinson talked about the results to their supporters last night.
Yes, Chris, Democrat Josh Stein will be headed here to the governor's mansion in the next couple of months. But let's get you to a breakdown of those results. Stein received nearly 55% of the vote, while Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson earned about 40% of the vote. That's the same 15-point margin that was shown in our WRAL News poll last week. Both candidates spoke to voters last night.
We chose hope over hate, competence over chaos, decency over division.
I'm a little disappointed. I'm disappointed for you because I wanted this so bad for you. I wanted this for the people of North Carolina.
Robinson lost support in the final weeks leading up to the election. That was after a CNN report said he made lewd and racist comments on a porn site. He denies those allegations. Stein campaigned on promises to support public schools and reproductive rights. And Stein is now making history as the first Jewish governor to be elected in North Carolina. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
It's 10 after 8 right now, and across the country, voters were clear about their stance on abortion rights, how that issue was determined at the ballot box.
And Republicans will have more than only the White House with President-elect Trump. How power is shifting in Congress after this election.
And it's already almost 65 degrees in the Triangle area. We are on our way to near record highs today. I'll show you why that may not last too much longer.
8:13 is the time right now. It is pretty mild out there. Good morning to you folks in Wilson. The whirligig's sitting still. There was a breeze yesterday, but not so much today as the clouds hang there over our viewing area. Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now with a look at how those clouds are going to produce a little bit of rain overnight.
Yeah, we have a few more views to show you. It's been beautiful in Fayetteville this morning with partly cloudy skies, and we're really seeing the same thing everywhere. There's a bit more cloud cover out there than there is sunshine, but we'll see that on and off through the day where, it feels fine out there. It doesn't feel like oppressively gray. We'll have some sun peeking through from time to time. Taking a live look in Apex this morning and in Chapel Hill, looking pretty in both spots. Chapel Hill is courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. We continue to watch our visibility map, and it just hasn't looked anything like yesterday. Yesterday, we had widespread visibilities at a quarter of a mile, which is what we would consider fog. That just hasn't been the case this morning, but there's some cloud cover out there. And of course, in Northampton County, we've seen an hour delay at Northampton County schools. The next thing that happens is we see a slug of moisture coming out of the Gulf and matched with a cold front. It should bring us some rain. But you would think with that pairing that we would end up with a decent amount of rain, and it just doesn't look like it. A quarter of an inch to a half an inch tonight into Thursday, scattered across North Carolina. Here's a look at the moisture down south. You can see it moving on up into Georgia and Florida, and that will continue to move northward. Georgia and South Carolina likely to see some heavy rain. Our cold front will slide eastward and interact with it, but we're just not likely to see as much rain as folks will see down south. Taking a look at Futurecast as we roll it through the day today, looking at a mix of sun and clouds. Likely have some rain by about 9 or 10 o'clock this evening, especially in our western counties. It's up in the air whether or not it's going to be wet for the morning commute. It's possible, but the models have backed off of that a little bit. And then the chance of some more isolated showers on through the afternoon tomorrow as well. After that, we're looking nice and dry for Friday. So 60% chance tonight, 50% chance during the day Thursday, looking dry for us on Friday and Saturday. There's a look at all that rainfall. See those red shaded areas down at South Carolina and Georgia. But for us, it'll be 1/10 of an inch in the north, about 1/2 an inch in the south. Just not looking very impressive. Let's take a look at Sunday. We'll see another front that comes through. During the day Sunday, there's lunchtime. Sunday's likely to be on the dry side, but overnight Sunday night into Monday, including, of course, Veterans Day, we have the chance of some showers. There are, of course, Veterans Day ceremonies planned for Monday, and some of those may be on the wetter side. Check in Hurricane Rafael, winds at 100 miles per hour. That storm moves across Cuba as a strong hurricane and then just fizzles out in the Gulf of Mexico. It may never make landfall on the Gulf Coast. Most of the models have it dying out here. A few of those want to send us a little bit of rain, but that is looking unlikely. Our tropical outlook still has one more system sitting out there in the Atlantic. It's a bit cooler for the weekend. Temperatures closer to normal. And then, of course, we'll continue to watch that chance of some showers on Monday, Ken.
All right, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We're going to start in Durham this morning. For this crash right now that's causing quite a bit of delays right there on I-885 in the southbound lanes at TW Alexander Drive. We'll take you outside and show you exactly what we're talking about. You can see the huge congestion building there on I-885 and Cornwallis Road. You're probably looking at a 10 to 15 minute delay, depending on where you are there in the Bull City this morning. I want to bring it back to Wake County and show you exactly what's going on in our neck of the woods here. Isolating the Beltline this morning, you can see the usual congestion building on the south side of the Beltline, beginning at Lake Wheeler Road. Similarly, on the north side of the Beltline as well, you can see the traffic building that begins around Capitol Boulevard. You usually expect that this time of the morning, but here's what the Southern Loop looks like. I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road. This was like a parking lot like 20 minutes ago, but you can see traffic is beginning to move just a little bit there in the southern loop of the Beltline. So if you're coming in from Garner or Johnston County, 6 of one, half dozen of another, depending on where you want to go this morning. The other trouble spot, Capitol Boulevard, usual this morning. And the thing is with Capitol Boulevard, you've got traffic lights, you've got congestion combined. This is what you're getting. Just check the census this morning. You're looking at maybe a 10 to 15 minute delay. Anywhere in the Triangle, you can listen to us on the radio, 101.5 HD3. You also have a couple more options, 99.3 FM in Raleigh and 96.5 FM in Durham.
Another race that has yet to be called, the race for Congressional District 1. That's Democratic incumbent Representative Don Davis. He claimed victory over Republican Lori Buckout just before 2 o'clock this morning. Buckout has not conceded this race. District 1 covers most of the northeastern part of our state, from the outskirts of the Triangle all the way to the coast.
I'm glad to remain in this fight representing you in the United States House of Representatives, the People's House.
The Buckout camp issued a statement early this morning saying her team will review the results and, quote, "We will look at all options for getting this over and done with. If a recount is required, we will be ready."
And Jeff, the relatively quick result in the presidential race means major newspapers have their front pages ready. Want to show you some of them. The Washington Post with this headline, "Trump triumphs." Also, the New York Times says Trump storms back. And we have a done deal on the front page of the New York Post. And the West Hawaii Today has just one word: trumped. Also, within the last 20 minutes, we heard from the campaign spokesperson for Trump saying that one of the first things President-elect Trump will do as president is deport millions of undocumented immigrants, as he has repeatedly pledged. The American people delivered a resounding victory for President Trump. That was Carolyn Levitt telling Fox News that. His first day of office, Inauguration Day, is Monday, January 20th.
There is a big change in power coming to Capitol Hill. Republicans have won control of the Senate. We've got Michelle McConaughey here tracking that. And Michelle, we're still waiting to see whether Republicans will also keep control of the House.
Yes, we are, Chris. But we do know Republicans will retake the Senate for the first time in years. Democrats had a slim 51-49 majority coming into the election, but Republicans flipped 3 seats in Ohio, West Virginia, and Montana to give them that 52 number. There are still a handful of other seats to be decided. Having a Republican-controlled Senate is a big bonus for Donald Trump. The Senate has the lead role in confirming cabinet members and a new Supreme Court justice if there is a vacancy. And taking a look at the U.S. House right now, there's still a lot of races to be decided here. Right now, NBC News has called 203 of them for Republican candidates, and 218 are needed to have control of the House. Republicans came into the election with a slim majority.
Voters in 10 states decided whether to protect abortion rights on Election Day. Measures to protect abortion access passed in Missouri, Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, Maryland, and New York. Missouri will be the first state where a vote will undo a ban that's already in place. In contrast, Florida voters rejected a measure to overhaul the state's 6-week abortion ban. Results are still pending for Montana, South Dakota, and Nebraska.
Janet Cowell is set to become the new mayor of Raleigh. The former state treasurer declared herself the winner. She took a big lead over the other candidates. Cowell has years of public service experience. She's held local and state elected positions before. She spent time as the CEO of the Dix Park Conservancy. She's also focused on stepping into her new role to make Raleigh a better city.
I look forward to working with all of you on the first 100 days, the first year, planning that transition to get really good things done for Raleigh and make it a city that works for everyone. So thank you very much. I'm very honored to have won this race tonight.
One of her biggest focuses will be on affordable housing. That's something that she hopes to get started on right away.
North Carolina's Secretary of State's race has gone to Democrat Elaine Marshall. Marshall secured more than almost 51% right there, and Republican Chad Brown came in with just over 49%.
Today, parents have another chance to learn more about Durham Public Schools' plan to restructure. This is focused on the district's Growing Together plan. Leaders say the main goals are equity, access, diversity, and managing growth in Durham. The district will be split into 5 regions. Each will have equal opportunity and a base school. An information session is happening tonight for the Central region. That is from 5:30 to 6:30 at Brogdon Middle School.
All right, check this out. Not to be denied, stuck in space didn't stop NASA astronauts Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore from voting. That group, along with fellow astronaut Don Pettit, posted this picture from space yesterday, sharing that they voted early for the presidential election. They filled out their ballots on the International Space Station. The group wore socks with the words "Proud to be American" on the bottom of them and showed them off. The caption read, "It doesn't matter if you're sitting, standing, or floating. What matters is that you vote."
Your time is 8:22 this morning. North Carolina Public Schools have a new leader. How newly elected Superintendent Mo Green plans to lead the state schools.
Plus, we give you this live look right now at the White House, which will soon be home to Donald Trump once again, the states he won that secured his second term.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio, in Raleigh on 99.3 FM, in Durham 96.5 FM, and everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
8:26 the time right now, your post-election Wednesday morning. Bit of clouds out there as well. I'm Jeff Hogan. It is mild. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now. We're mid-60s just about everywhere.
It feels really warm. I mean, our normal low temperature at this time of year is 20 degrees cooler than this, but it looks nice out. We're seeing a mix of sun and clouds here in Durham as well as Raleigh and Fayetteville. It'll be more cloudy as we get into the late afternoon and evening because we'll have some showers in the forecast overnight. But expect partly to variably cloudy skies this afternoon and almost a record high at 82, Ken.
Happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We want to start in Durham this morning, give you a look at what's going on as a result of this crash right there on I-885 in the southbound lanes. That's near TW Alexander Drive. We're seeing a huge backup this morning, stretching all the way back to the I-40, I-85 split. You can see the congestion there, and traffic moving very slowly this morning. Of course, we'll continue to watch this and have an update for you at the bottom of the hour over on Fox 50.
Democrat Josh Stein will be North Carolina's next governor. Stein won the race against Republican Mark Robinson by nearly 15 points. He is now the first Jewish governor to be elected in North Carolina history. Democrat Mo Green will lead North Carolina's public schools. He leads Republican Michelle Morrow by nearly 4%, with nearly all the votes reported. Green ran Guilford County schools from 2008 to 2016. He's not yet declared victory. Next on Fox 50, we are breaking down Trump's win in battleground states, including here in North Carolina. And the Today Show continues its team coverage on this historic win and other major races across our nation.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Right now on Fox 50, Donald Trump is officially projected to be the next elected president.
Every citizen, I will fight for you, for your family, and your future.
His message to supporters as we wait to hear from Vice President Kamala Harris today.
Plus, from the governor's race to the close race for state public schools, we have full coverage of key races across our state.
And we've been watching visibility all morning. It's variably cloudy, but we haven't seen any widespread fog. I will show you when we could see temperatures that are well above normal.
A lot of stories that we are covering, including the results of election night. Thank you so much for waking up and joining us here on WRAL News and Fox 50. I'm Chris Lovingood.
Quite historic as we get rolling here. I'm Jeff Hogan. It's good to have you with us here. WRAL is your source for election results. Everything you need to know since you went to bed last night. Our team of reporters, we have them tracking the big races still up in the air and the ones already decided. Before we go to them, we're going to check in with Elizabeth Gardner with our first look at the forecast.
That's a pretty view here at RDU. You can see some blue sky, a little bit of cloud cover. That's what we'll end up seeing for much of the day, especially the first part of the day. A bit of sunshine mixed with cloud cover. We'll see those clouds thickening up as we get closer to the evening. Right now it is 64 with a dew point of 60, and so that feels pretty comfortable. Definitely not chilly out there as folks are heading out the door. And visibility is looking fine too. It's 4 miles in Rocky Mount and Goldsboro. That's just an indication that we've had some low cloud cover develop in places. And of course, now that we're at 8:30, this may be a moot point, but Northampton County schools are on a 1-hour delay because of some fog there earlier this morning. We take a look at our temperatures, 82. That puts us at almost a record high today. Partly cloudy skies, but increasing clouds this evening. And we do have the chance of some rain overnight tonight. The best chance of that will be starting around 11 o'clock or midnight. And then it begins to taper off a little bit by the time we get to the morning commute, but we can still see a few isolated showers on and off. I'll walk you through that on Futurecast coming up. Tracking Rafael, a Category 2 hurricane likely to move into the Gulf of Mexico after crossing the western tip of Cuba and then potentially fizzling out before really making landfall on the Gulf Coast. I'll show you more about that coming up, Ken.
All right, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center, we continue to be on top of this story that's developing really on the crash on I-885 this morning in the southbound lanes. But we're seeing congestion in both directions heading in and out of the Bull City this morning, as you can see from this picture of an I-85 at Cornwallis Road. We're going to keep watching that, but you're looking at a 5 to 10 minute delay going into the Bull City this morning. Also around the Triangle and surrounding communities, you have a couple other troubled spots as we isolate the Beltline this morning. We see things have really cleared up on the southern loop of the Beltline. Not the same can be said for the northern loop, though, but that's usual this time of the morning as we take you out. And this is a live look at Capitol Boulevard near the Beltline this morning. But you can see that's the usual congestion that we see there on Capitol Boulevard coming into the capital city, rather, particularly coming from Wake Forest this morning. The other troubled spot, US 1, Wake Forest coming in. Let's take a look at those delays as you get ready to head out this morning. You're looking at a 10-minute delay coming in from Wake Forest now this time of the morning, but that's to be expected. But just a 4-minute delay coming in from those 87 lanes. You can listen to us on the radio, 101.5 HD3, anywhere in the Triangle.
Donald Trump is the projected president-elect and headed to the White House. That is where you're looking live this morning. He received 277 electoral votes, which is more than the 270 needed to become president-elect.
And coupled with a disappointing showing in certain areas by Kamala Harris, that Trump had a decisive series of wins in important swing states. WRAL's Michelle McConaughey joins us now. And Michelle, it was a big night for Trump in those states, including here in North Carolina.
It was, Jeff. There were 7 very important swing states in this election. North Carolina was one of those states that Trump won. You can see it highlighted in red there. His win in Wisconsin, that was announced about 5:30 this morning, that put him over the top. But he also took Pennsylvania and Georgia. And if you go back to the 2020 results, those actually showed that those were states that President Joe Biden won in that election. So he flipped those. Coming back to last night, what we saw here in North Carolina, it played out in those other states as well. Harris won the urban areas, but the turnout of Democratic voters, it wasn't enough to offset the red parts of those states. We are still waiting from results for the other battleground states highlighted in white here, including Michigan, Arizona, and Nevada. We should find those out very soon. Trump is holding leads in all of those states right now. If Trump does win all of those, he could end up with as many as 312 electoral votes in a landslide victory over Harris. He could also become the first Republican to win the popular vote since George W. Bush back in 2004.
Thanks, Michelle. WRAL's Heidi Kirk joins us live from the Wake County Board of Elections office. And Heidi, Trump was able to secure major battleground victories, including North Carolina, as we mentioned. Good morning.
Jeff, good morning. It is a big day for the entirety of the Trump campaign. In fact, he took the stage in the early hours of the morning around 2:30 a.m. in Florida, announcing his victory even hours before those projections were made. Take a look at some of the footage from that event in the early hours of the morning. The former president shouted out North Carolina voters in particular for making it to the polls and pushing him to win the state. The margins were slim here in North Carolina. As we've reported, former President Donald Trump won by about 51% of the vote. Now, he was joined on stage by his family, key staffers, and his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio. He spent time discussing policies on stage, touching on one of the centerpieces of his campaign, illegal immigration. In conclusion, he thanked Americans for their part in his campaign.
Most of all, I want to thank the millions of hardworking Americans across the nation who have always been the heart and soul of this really great movement. We've been through so much together, and today you showed up in record numbers to deliver a victory like no other.
Now, even though Trump is the projected winner, elections officials will tell you that they cannot certify that election until 10 days after Election Day. So while he is the projected winner, there's several more days to come and more states to call. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Here locally, Mo Green will be North Carolina's next public school leader. The Democrat lead had beaten Michelle Morrow in the race with nearly all of those votes reported. Actually, 100% of precincts there. It looks like they were being reported. WRAL's Laura Levine shares that this was a close race.
The AP called this race earlier this morning. Democrat Mo Green topped Republican Michelle Morrow in the race to become North Carolina's next public school leader. Taking a closer look at the results here, you can see with all precincts reported, Green has 51.1% of the vote to Morrow's 48.9%. That's according to unofficial results from the State Board of Elections. Green's lead was about 119,500 votes. Green, who ran Guilford County Schools from 2008 to 2016, 2016 hadn't declared victory just yet. Earlier this week, his team said he wouldn't comment on the results in any way until 100% of ballots were counted. WRAL spoke with him before the polls closed.
I've been a superintendent. I've led complex educational organizations. My opponent has not. I believe in our public schools.
Republican Michelle Morrow, a political outsider and homeschool mom, left her watch party late last night and didn't concede. Her campaign said that she would wait to see how she fared after more results were in. And as she left, her supporters surrounded her and told her that they loved her. At this point, we have not heard any remarks from Mo Green and his campaign at this time. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Raleigh.
This one's been decided. Democrat Josh Stein will be North Carolina's next governor. Stein won the race against Republican Mark Robinson by nearly 15 points. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey shares both candidates talked about the results to their supporters last night.
Democrat Josh Stein will be moving in here at the governor's mansion in the next couple of months. Let's get you straight to a breakdown now of those results. Stein received nearly 55% of the vote, while Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson earned about 40% of the vote. That's the same 15-point margin that was shown in our WRAL News poll last week. Both candidates spoke to voters last night.
The people of North Carolina resoundingly embraced a vision that's optimistic, forward-looking, and welcoming. A vision that's about creating opportunity for every North Carolinian.
I'm a little disappointed. I'm disappointed for you because I wanted this so bad for you. I wanted this for the people of North Carolina, not for me. I wanted it for them.
Robinson lost support in the final weeks leading up to the election. That was after a CNN report said he made lewd and racist comments on a porn site. He denies those allegations. Stein campaigned on promises to support public schools and reproductive rights. Stein is now making history as the first Jewish governor to be elected in the state of North Carolina. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
Happening today, the State Board of Elections will randomly select polling places for auditing. This video I'm going to show you, this is from the random selection process in 2020. Two groups of ballots will be selected between precincts, early voting sites, or absentee by mail ballots per county. Then, election workers will count the presidential contest by hand, and they'll compare that with the totals collected from voting machines. This process, if you didn't know, is required by law. It's meant to ensure reliability of voting machines.
Meantime, Chris, we've been tracking more than 400 races locally and nationally for you, and you can count on the fastest, most complete election results being right at your fingertips in the WRAL News app. Just scan that QR code on the right side of your screen there to download the app right now, and be sure to check your settings. Make sure those alerts are in the right spot to get notifications when remaining races are called.
Your time is 8:40 this morning. The balance of power is shifting in North Carolina. How Democrats were able to secure enough seats to break the state's Republican supermajority.
And emotions will be high for many people after this tense election. We'll share psychiatrist-approved coping mechanisms to help you work through what you're feeling.
And you know what? It's going to feel more like September than November today. You're looking live in North Hills. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner will explain where we could see near record highs today.
.844 the time right now, and you see this live look in Chapel Hill, the Franklin Street intersection right there up above. Clouds, they're disappearing right now. Blue skies right there. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now, and pretty much wherever we look, the clouds are starting to go away.
It's pretty out there right now. We'll take a live look at Apex, and of course it's busy down Salem Street at this hour, but it feels comfortable. It's well above normal. As a matter of fact, our low temperature this morning and tomorrow morning are closer to our afternoon highs normally than they are to our morning lows. It is 64 degrees right now in the Triangle. We are on our way to almost a record high at 82. The previous record was 83. We continue to check the visibility, but we're looking pretty good, and especially at this time of the morning at 8:45, we shouldn't have any more problems with fog across the area. We do have some cloud cover, but that's not going to cause you any problems as you're traveling around. Our warm spot right now is Clinton at 68, and our cool spot 55 in Roxborough. But again, everybody's going to warm up this afternoon. We'll also be in line for some rain, especially for our southern counties in the next 24 hours. We have some moisture that's going to be coming out of the Gulf of Mexico straight up toward North Carolina. Carolina, but the bulk of it's going to fall in Georgia and South Carolina, even though we'll have a cold front that comes in and interacts with some of that moisture that starts to move into our area. We just can't really get a break in terms of seeing any precipitation. But here's a look as we're going forward today. We will see some increasing clouds as we get through the afternoon. By lunchtime, we're fairly cloudy with a few peaks of sun. And then by the evening, by 8 or 9 o'clock, we start to see a few isolated showers rolling through. The model runs for the last several hours have been pretty dry for the commute tomorrow morning, but keep checking back because yesterday it was looking a bit wet for tomorrow morning's commute. And then we'll be fairly dry for the remainder of the day, minus a few showers that could come on through. How much rainfall? Not a whole lot. Our southern counties probably looking at around a half an inch, and around the triangle, maybe a quarter of an inch, and north of that, maybe a tenth of an inch. Just not looking at much rain out of the system. Kate Lundy sent us this beautiful photo from Wendell of the sunset. We love your Weather Watcher photos. Go to WRAL.com and search Weather Watchers. Summer-like temperatures for us. 82 for the high this afternoon compared to the normal high of 66. And of course, that normal high of 66 was what we're looking at right now as you're stepping out the door. So much warmer than normal temperatures. Our normal low is 43, and we're not going to be anywhere close to that. As a matter of fact, we still haven't had our first freeze across our area, and it is nowhere in sight, definitely for the next 7 days. Overnight lows are in the 50s and 60s. It does turn slightly cooler for the weekend, and another front comes through Sunday night into Monday that could bring some light showers for Veterans Day.
Here in the WRAL Live Center, Republican lawmakers are congratulating President-elect Trump on his victory. House Speaker Mike Johnson posted on X just after Trump won Pennsylvania at 2:20 this morning. He says, "We have saved America. We are ready to get to work for the American people." Senator Lindsey Graham has a slightly different take. He says, "To my Democratic colleagues, been there. Let's work together where we can improve the country. Our best days